Whoa, my love. This ghost is very touchy.
So as it stands now, our relatives and God are just judging us from the afterlife.
Your aunt, your uncle, everybody just surrounding the bed.
Eric, you're worried about people seeing your browser history. Well, think about that exponentially. Eric, did you hear that? What was that?
What?
I heard another stall door slam. You're listening to the Flesh Podcast, where we talk about life, love, movies, politics, and of course, ghosts in the bathroom. When we're done, it all gets...
Look behind you, Peter!
Ghost, what is it you want? What is it you want in the great beyond? What is not keeping you at rest? Tell us, and we may alleviate you of your chains, and you may go to the afterlife.
To take a shit.
Take a shit. The ghost just wants to use the bathroom, and then it will go to the great beyond.
Well, he has to wait.
Yeah, because I'm not done here.
No. I still have like 2 more levels on Angry Birds.
I had my first legit ghost experience. In the middle of the night during the holidays, I did have to like go to the bathroom, and I went to the bathroom, right? And I went back to bed. I go back to bed, I sleep on my side, and I'm still half awake, and I hear a loud noise. And it's such a loud noise that like it's so close to me, and I'm like what do I do? And I didn't do any of the ghost adventure stuff where like you turn around and you figure out what it was. I was laying there looking at the wall, and I was like, what do I do? You know,
It was behind you.
It was behind me. Yeah. And
That shit, I would have turned around.
it wasn't necessarily behind me. It was kind of like just near the bed. It wasn't necessarily, I don't know what direction it was coming from, but
What was the noise? Like just
I was in complete blackness. So like, you know, so it was, I didn't know what the noise was, but so what happened next was, all because I peed in the middle of the night. The next thing, I felt something on my back that was sporadically slightly shaking me, just ever so slightly shaking me. And it was in intervals. And like, I was thinking maybe it was my body, like in breathing.
Muscle spasm, maybe.
Perhaps. And so I kind of like stopped breathing to like analyze, and it still continued to happen. I was fully awake. I was trying to figure out what was happening. So that stopped, that like shaking stopped. Then I got up, turned on the light, and I went back to bed, and I was like, well, I don't know what happened there. So I kind of like for 10 minutes, I tried to like make my body do that again, and it didn't do it. But then like 15 minutes later, I feel like a swelling on the upper part of my back. And it gets a little bit more. And then just suddenly I felt a giant surge of energy coming through my body. And it was like prickles all over my body.
I don't know what to tell. I think you got raped by a ghost. Dude.
I could have. I don't know. It was the most. It was so weird. I mean, like you and I. So like, and I want to play that audio actually on here. You and I went to New Orleans, and we did the ghost tour.
Yeah.
We didn't hear any ghosts, but we went to this after the ghost tour. You and I went up to this mansion that was apparently haunted, and you would hear scratches. So I went up to the wall and I scratched, the wall. Hello, lady. Whoever, do you want to talk? Right here.
You want to tell us what happened?
You hear bar patrons in a bar nearby. You hear you hear me. But then right at the end of this audio, you hear this thing say something right in front of me, and I don't know what language it is. That was a crazy experience, but this was so personal and so crazy that it just like surged my body, and I never felt that before. I think I'm not like a crazy ghost like fanatic, but I think at the very least what like these shows and what like experiences people have, at the very least it shows that there's something happening that's beyond what we know,
My love. This fucking ghost He's very touchy, Peter.
just wants to.
Fucking ghost is very touchy.
Darling, I want your touch.
Well, I wish I would have one of those experiences. I don't think I've ever had a ghost experience.
Well, I think you told me once way back, like you think something is following you.
Yeah, I had something. I was young, barely 18, I think, and I was with my ex-girlfriend. We were in this apartment that was gonna be sold right next to her apartment, so it was just left open. So that's where we would go and hang out, quote unquote. And all of a sudden, she stops me because we're in one of the rooms. She stops me and she says, "I don't feel right." She said she's feeling a little weird and like somebody's watching. And all of a sudden, I got this feeling like I wanted to look back, but cautiously look back. Like somebody was standing behind me. And so I kind of just like turned my head a little bit to see. There was nothing there. There was a closet. And she was looking at the closet and she said, "I think somebody's inside that closet." I thought, yeah, there's somebody there's somebody in that closet. So I grabbed her and we walked right past the closet to get out of the room. She was shaking and I was like, "Oh, you okay?" And it's okay. There was nothing there. We just got spooked, She's like, "I don't know. I just felt like somebody was watching me." And I was like, "What did he look like?" And she said, "How do you know it was a he?" I was like, "I don't know. It just seems like it was I don't know. I kind of see something." And she was like, "Well, what I felt was like this old man." And I said, "Old man wearing like a brown overall?" Like, "Yeah, brown with a beard." "Yeah, a white beard." We started like describing them back and forth.
Oh, wow.
So she was like, yeah, she got really spooked. She was like a true believer, like about ghosts and stuff. So years pass, and I think it must have been like 6 years or 7 years afterwards or something. And I was really sick and I was in my apartment. I had a dog and I went to sleep and I remember sleeping for 24 hours that day. I was so sick.
Whoa.
And I was just sleeping and then I got one of those, what do you call them? When you can't move at night.
Sleep paralysis or paralysis.
Yeah, paralysis, because I was dreaming that I was falling. I was falling back into this this infinite hole. Not just falling, but this person was falling with me, and it was, I don't know, maybe 5 feet away from me and reaching for me as we were both falling. He was facing me, trying to catch me as we were falling, and he was almost there. And I turned my head, and I know that I couldn't move, and I started screaming. And all of a sudden, I woke up and I couldn't move, and I kind of like burst out of it. The guy that was falling with me was the same description of the guy that I saw with my girlfriend 7 years ago. I don't know if it was like a mind trick or something, or something that I remember, but that was the closest thing that I've gotten to like a supernatural.
You know, it's messed up, but what I think about, because I do think there's something happening. And so go on the assumption that there is something watching us, helping us, not helping us, being mischievous, whatever. I think there's enough evidence that, like, honestly, like, and I try to be skeptical with all this, but like, I think there is something going on, right? And so the messed up part of me is like, well, okay, say shit, like, how many ancestors are watching me? And then like, shit, what are they seeing? Like,
the fuck is that thing coming out of the toilet? Is that water? Is that splashing my great grandson's ass? What the fuck kind of devilish?
I'm more thinking of like,
oh, you're talking about masturbating.
I'm talking about masturbation. I'm talking about, when anything, not just that.
You know, I can see all your, like, your aunt, your uncle, everybody just surrounding the bed and just shaking their head like, oh, I can't believe he's turned, you know.
Eric, you're worried about people seeing your browser history.
Oh, no.
Think about that exponentially. Imagine everybody can see everything of, you know, all your ancestors see, you know, oh, Eric, he was such a great boy. Let me check in on him. Let me help him. He's like, oh shit. What is he? Oh no. There could be other explanations for like these things that happen, which do legit happen. Like I could totally, if you told me, if a scientist came and said, hey, actually what's happening is when you see something moving, that's human brain power that we haven't uncovered yet. You know, if somebody sleeping in on the other side of the world is dreaming, what we're seeing are dreams of people like manifesting in the real world, that it hasn't been unlocked in the brain. I'd be like, oh yeah, you know, that's totally possible too. Or if you did say, yeah, if there's like dimensional mixture, it's possible that like there's
some wires
other dimensions.
Crossed. Yeah,
there's other dimensions that are just sort of accidentally seeping in, you know. And like, did you ever see the movie The Others?
Yes.
That was so cool. And super big spoiler if anybody's not seen The Others.
It's only been 27 years.
Cover your ears. Yeah, it's only been like 27 years. Cover your ears or just stop this podcast. But like at the end, of course, you think Nicole Kidman's being haunted, but it's in reverse. They're the ghosts trying to get these what they think are ghosts out, but really it's just humans that they're haunting and trying to get out of their house.
Lost souls. Maybe they don't know where they are, and they time just blends in together, and they just see people walking around their house, and they don't know what to do. I don't know. It could be maybe like they're in a state of lost, like they don't really understand things. They just kind of exist.
Then who's to say we're not ghosts? You know, what if we are?
Oh, because we can plan things ahead day to day. You know, like tomorrow we're gonna do this, and you know, it doesn't seem like a supernatural experience. Like we're not in that. I don't know. If there are ghosts, what we think of ghosts, they're always like looking at a wall, thinking about their past, or ghosts are not writing a script to sell to Stanley Kubrick. You know, they're just like existing.
When I think of the world of like that side, I think of when when Frodo puts on the ring in Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah,
and it's all windy and like dark.
Yeah,
that's what I consider that side. And also, I would even go further and say that they can probably form thoughts and move things and help and talk and all that shit. But in a lot of ways, it's probably like a dream to them. You know, in like dreams, you pop from one subject to the other, and things that shouldn't make sense are kind of making sense. And I bet you it's more like that.
It reminded me of Castle Rock, the first season. I think it was episode 7. Spacek. Cece Spacek. She had, I don't know if it was a beginning of dementia or Parkinson's or something. So episode 7 is kind of told from her perspective. And man, that was so well done because the editing was great. She would open the door, see somebody, and then when she turns around, it was somebody else. And she would know that it's different to her, but she knows kind of to not make too much of it because she knows that she's losing her mind, kind of. So the editing plays. So that's probably what I see of like ghosts. Like they'll see something and they'll be like, oh, I know this place. And then that place, they will just turn around and they will be somewhere else. They just can't piece it together.
Yeah.
Kind of like they'll have
takes a lot of energy maybe to piece things it's almost like you're drunk or you're like just like high in this world and you're like, Eric, I like him, let me pet his head, you know.
And let me pet his head and Oh, look, Peter masturbating again. Jesus. How many years has it been? November 27, 2005.
Peter, edit this out, please.
No, keep that one in. People deserve to know the truth, Peter. Yeah, on that note,
our sponsor, the Church of Latter-day Saints. If you want to be a Latter-day Saint, go to that church. Don't masturbate. Yeah.
Remember, not only your grandfather is looking at you, but Jesus is looking at you as well.
Jesus was the first one looking at us.
He was shaking his head like, oh.
God was like, yeah, this isn't cool. Let's have Moses sort of like hash out some rules here. People are jerking off way too much.
Yeah.
Actually, what happened was, here's the real story. I'll tell you the real story. Jesus, he died for our sins, went up to God and he's like, and God is still miffed about like, people are jerking off and having too much sin. And
what are you doing, man? What are you doing? He's like he's the boss and Jesus is the manager.
Yeah. Well, and Jesus comes back as, to God and he's like, look, God, it was pretty cool down there. You got it a little twisted, dude. You got to check this out. It's pretty fun. And then, so, it's ongoing debate in the
Sodom and Gomorrah was a party that God wasn't invited to. So that's why he burned it.
Had he been invited, things would have been different.
It would have been different, yeah.
So as it stands now, our relatives and God are just judging us from the afterlife.
Check out his technique. Oh, it's so wrong. Yeah, I know.
I got a theory for you then. Yeah. Would you say that the people that are more haunted are more sinful?
That's a good, they kind of like gravitate towards the people that have this.
They just, it's like when you slow down when a car wreck happens.
Yeah.
You want to rubberneck and watch. When you're a spirit, you're like with your popcorn, you're like,
yeah,
what's the best thing to watch now? And I'm dead. And people like, dude, Eric is in. Eric, did you see? He's doing some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Let's go over there.
Man, this Peter guy won't stop masturbating.
On that note. For more mysteries of life through the lens of the bathroom, visit theflush.com or anywhere you get your podcasts.